Welcome to Tate Sports Office, an in-depth look at the world of sports, featuring exclusive interviews with our KRQE News Sports Director, Tate, sponsored by Caesars Sportsbook at Route 66 Casino.
We're talking about soccer on the Sports Office, and for a very good reason. The fourth coach in New Mexico United history is here joining us, Dennis Sanchez. Dennis, welcome to the Sports Office.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I should just say welcome to Albuquerque because I don't think we haven't had you formally on this show yet. So
I appreciate it. It's been a very warm welcome from the first moment that we arrived at the airport. David, supporters waiting for us, for myself and my girlfriend. Honestly, a really easy city to transition to. Great people, great food. So we're happy to be here.
So there wasn't anybody there, like some United fans going like, hey, that's the guy who coached against us and knocked us out last year.
They've definitely ruffled my feathers a little bit and little smack talk about it, but all in good fun. And I keep telling them I'm on the right side of the line now. So super excited to be here. It's honestly an honor to represent the club.
You know, man, when you think about that, were you surprised? Like if somebody had told you last year when you were coaching against them, hey man, you're going to be New Mexico United's head coach?
I mean, in soccer, you never know, or professional sports. So I think that, I've always been most attracted to people first, project second, vision. There was definitely awareness last season as we were coming here for multiple games over the course of the year of how special the supporters were, the energy that they brought, the football that they were playing. I was fortunate to already have a relationship with Ida Markinen, who's our sporting director. So there was a lot of pieces that kind of organically brought this opportunity. And then, I think when that call first happened, there was definitely a strong interest. Was happy in Las Vegas, but at the same time felt like it was such a great opportunity to join an amazing club. Yeah,
when you talk about amazing club, they're fans, man. I mean, you have that support is. I mean, I'm just looking from on the outside looking in, not being in the stands with them, I just that kind of support. How do you get that?
Yeah, I mean, we love it, right? It's our 12th man. It's amazing to see how much soccer has grown in our country over really the last couple decades. I love the story that Pete and Ron talk about all the time of how all the numbers and the data was saying don't have a professional soccer team in Albuquerque and New Mexico, and so I think that actually goes right into the culture of New Mexicans and having a chip on their shoulder, and they played right into that. So, and honestly, I think what's been most amazing is that, there's a mutual effort that it takes from the club and from the supporters, but I've been fortunate to be around some really good organizations, and I can tell you right now, I have never seen anybody make more of an effort to connect with the community and really put the community first. So, again, to be a part of that, to be a part of something bigger than yourself, it's really what you want as a head coach.
What about the first home game, man? What are some of your thoughts looking forward to that?
There's a lot of I know there's going to be a lot of emotion involved. I think that I feel very privileged and honored to represent our club, to be a part of it. I also feel that our supporters need a trophy. So there's a lot of I would say, positive internal expectations, pressure that I put on myself in a healthy way. But there's nothing more than what I know myself, our staff, the players want to provide this year for our club and for our fans is a trophy.
What do you know about your opponent, that home match?
I know it's going to be a game of intensity. Obviously a rivalry against El Paso, but we also have to play our way. And so I have a lot of respect for Wilmer, who's their head coach. One of their assistants was on my staff last year in Las Vegas, so they're good people. It's a club that struggled a little bit last year, but have a lot of resources. Wilmer's a winner, so we're expecting a fully competitive, physical match.
Yeah, that rivalry, man. Like, I know you weren't here last year, but have they told you what that rivalry is like?
I've seen some things. I've felt some things.
I've seen a thing or two.
Yeah, no, but I think that again, I've been fortunate to have a history of working in different organizations like the Seattle Sounders in the past, and playing against the Portland Timbers and Vancouver Whitecaps also brought that same type of energy. So I think we have to embrace it. I think the most important thing when you're in those situations is to have this balance of energy and aggression, but at the same time, play our way.
Right. And speaking of playing your way, do you feel like you have a roster to do that? I mean, you've been working and getting some of the right pieces in the right place. Talk about your roster and why you feel that they're strong and a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I feel the superpower of last year's team and moving into this year is very much the spirit and the camaraderie of the group. It was very important as I was hired and working with Idemar in the offseason on the building of the team that we wanted to ensure that we had a foundation from last year. That was really important, that we wanted stability. We wanted a continuation of the success from last season. And that really starts with, again, the type of people that they are, the characteristics that they had. But at the same time, part of last season is building upon this year. And so how can we continue to improve? I think that's the beauty of sports. If you're not evolving, you're going to get passed up. And so, the offseason was really about how can we create more depth? How can we complement the current group? And ultimately, not only bring in good soccer players, but good human beings first that are bought into our project, bought into the ethos and the culture that we're trying to build. And I can wholeheartedly tell you that we have accomplished that. We're probably still looking for one or two more pieces, just to, as always. But the foundation that we have, the spirit of the group, their buy-in. I mean, honestly, I've never been around a group that is so coachable. The way that they have executed the ideas, the principles that we're working on, it's truly remarkable, and I'm lucky to be their coach.
Who are some of your standout guys? Like if the fans said, "Hey, who should we be looking out for?" Who are you gonna name?
I'm always going to be the politically correct one in these situations. I preach collective all the time and team above self and team first. I think that, part of my job is to always think about how we can take a collective process, but at the same time, bring out the individual strengths within that team process. And I'm a huge guy of I want their personalities to come out. So every player on the team brings something different. And really what we've been focused on as well, and where you need a little bit of time, is how you build those relationships on and off the field and just those connections. But look, we have a really, really talented group, a group of great character, that's ambitious as well. And I think that's been the other piece that's really impressed me, is that I haven't felt like for one moment that this group was content with their success from last year. Yeah. If anything, we're walking into a group that's even hungrier this season.
There's no, like, you don't want to name, like, the enforcer, like the guy who gets out there and makes sure, hey, we doing that today? The crazy one?
Yeah, well, I think to hit on that, we have some great leaders within the group. Kaylin Ryden, Talon Maples have been named as our captains for this year. Both two very natural leaders. At the same time, while they're wearing the captain's band, it's really important that we empower the other players and that they lead in their own ways. And, I'm a huge believer that if you can help and improve the players around you, it's going to make the team better. Ultimately, when you have team success, it's going to lead to individual accolades as well.
The conversation is just getting started. We have more on the other side.
As far as your experience, you spent that time with the Seattle Sounders. What are you pulling off of that that's going to help you while you're here in New Mexico?
Yeah, great question. I think, I've always been somebody that's tried to grow on an individual basis each day. I know one of the biggest things I had, working with Seattle Sounders was my first job, and to see the professionalism, how they built the club. I came in their expansion year, so the success that the club had in a very short period of time, but understanding the why behind it was really important. And I think that, again, one, they connected with the community. They had some really key signings. The late Ziggy Schmidt was a master at really creating a balanced roster, understanding which guys maybe weren't utilized correctly in different environments where there was more upside. So I think, there's that aspect. Brian Schmetzer, who's now the head coach there, is a fantastic man manager. So watching his connection with the players was great. And then honestly, as I've carried on in my career, I think that nobody's necessarily reinventing the wheel. There's definitely some coaches out there that are innovative and trying different things, but I think that's the beauty of soccer and sport, again, that you can go from point A to point B in a lot of different ways. And ultimately what I've found is that I've begged, borrowed, and stealed from different people, but I've also tried to remain true to myself and the way that I was raised and the things that mean a lot to me. So had some really fortunately to have some really good mentors in my life, and hopefully continue to have that. I think it's important as a coach now that I'm not satisfied with where I am by any means. I actually work with a coach's coach. I work with a sports psychologist. I work with somebody that helps me on the tactical side. Obviously, we have our staff that is with me every single day and pushing me to be better and pushing each other. But I think this is a beauty that you have to continue to evolve, and I want to continue to learn and grow each day.
When you started playing soccer and you figured out that you were pretty good at that, was it something that just happened all of a sudden, or were you was it just easy for you? Like the ball, everything was in slow motion, and you were just able to just dominate?
Oh man, you're taking me back. I think that, well, first off, I'm the oldest of I have 3 younger brothers. So, I was very much the trailblazer in the family. My other brothers had played soccer. One played at Oregon State. One's actually a young professional at Atlanta United. Now he's 16.
Wow.
So, hopefully I've influenced him and helped him kind of pave the way. But I would say it was very much a unblazed trail that I was on with my parents. I mean, just the unknowns of which team to play for. And again, we talk about growth of soccer in the U.S. right now. To have, young professional players at a young age have these opportunities, honestly, that really wasn't around when we were growing up. So college was really the only pathway. And even that, deciding on which college to go to was just like very organic. So we learned a lot. It definitely helped my other brothers. But I think that just, genuinely I fell in love with it. My dad was very committed to providing, both of my parents were very committed to providing opportunities for me. I ended up moving to Reno my junior and senior year of high school from Seattle. I was kind of messing around in school and not doing too well, so they moved the family down to Reno, private Catholic school, get me in order a little bit. But there wasn't a lot of soccer in Reno at the time, so my dad and I were actually going to Sacramento about 4 or 5 times a week, driving over the Sierra Nevada mountains, 2 hours each way, sometimes longer. So I really appreciate the way that I was, the way I grew up, the household that I was in, and I think all those little things, make me appreciate what I do even more, and being in the position I am now.
Last year was your first year as a head coach, right? So how much did that stretch you as far as learning? Because it's different when you move one chair to the next. Like you're an assistant and then you move to that head coaching job and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm learning here. How much did it stretch you? What did you learn that you can apply here?
Yeah, great question. I think that first off, I've been in a lot of different roles throughout my career, whether it's as an academy director, academy coach, assistant with the second team. I've worked with really all ages, and honestly, every experience has been beneficial to me in helping me become the best coach that I can be. I still think that, one of my first team ever was a U12 boys B team in Seattle. But like learning how to have a game model, dealing with parents, expectations of playing time, like all these different things are still things that I have to do. I have to connect with people. I have to, manage others. So every experience that I've had is, I feel like, helped and aid me in where I could be. I think the biggest piece that I take away from last year was there was for sure some unique experiences that I haven't, felt as a head coach, but at the same time, I felt like it was more of a test of things that I felt like would work. And then I would say the what's the best way to put it? Like it showed that it was capable. Like my ideas, my philosophy came to fruition in terms of culture, putting people first. Not even all things football related or soccer related, but it really kind of validated my belief system, which was really important. I think as a coach, there's going to be times throughout the year where are you doing the right thing? You start to kind of question certain things, and I'm a huge process-oriented person. I believe that having identity and having North Stars for the team provides simplicity, provides structure, allows them to flourish within that environment. And so there were some really defining moments last year in Las Vegas where I could have gone a different way and maybe changed the way that I saw the game, but kind of, stayed true to my beliefs in those moments. And, fortunately still had buy-in from the players. And that's also a really important piece as a head coach is like, you got to be authentic. Players are way smarter than what we give them credit for. So when you start to be somebody that you're not, I think they can, they can smell it. They can read right through it. So I'm very comfortable being vulnerable at the right times in front of the group. If I make a mistake, if I can learn and grow, like we're in this together. And I think when you show that vulnerability and also create an environment that players can be brave, they can be bold, they're not afraid to make mistakes, it's like everything that I can ask for them.
Much more conversation coming your way on the other side.
We'll get back to the episode in a moment. Monica Wicki here, host of New Mexico Living. I wanted to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Route 66 Casino and Caesars Sportsbook. If you love sports and like having a little action on the game, Caesars Sportsbook is your go-to destination. For rewards and more info, go to Route66Casino.com. Now back to the episode.
Before we get out of here, the home game, you guys have anything special that you're doing? I know David, I don't know if David has got with you guys, like maybe having kids, a barrel race or something before the game. What are some of the activities?
I'm not privy to all that information. I think that they do a great job of allowing me to focus on helping the players and try to win. I mean, again, I know the players that have been here, the players that are new, even, as we've gone through preseason games, we've experienced the supporters. We've had different events that, we're feeling their energy already. So honestly, it's just going to be great to be out there with them. I think, the key for us is to use that to our advantage right away, build momentum within the game, find the first goal, find the first tackle, get them on our side and ensure that they ultimately know that we're here for them and we're going to give everything we have.
Now, as far as you on game day, are you how are you on game day, man? Are you wound up or are you just relaxed or are you focused in the zone? Because how things are different nowadays. Like everything is fast. And back in the day, I think it was easier to lock in because you could just set your sights on one target and you're locked in. Yeah.
I've definitely established some routines and rituals over the years. I think, honestly, one of the things that I'm always very mindful of is my body language, my emotional control, whether that's not just on game day, but throughout the course of the week. I know players pick up on those different things. So I think for me to kind of, have this even keel approach, don't get too high, don't get too low, have a growth mindset, but really, I'm trying to be as calm as possible. So one of the rituals is meditation. Pretty avid at doing that, throughout the week. I think that is a very good way to calm myself, breathing techniques. And again, I think that the more calm I am, the better I'm allowed to see the game, see what's happening, and ultimately present information back to the players in a calm way and help them throughout the game.
So you're not like neurotic, you didn't get inspired by Will Ferrell kicking and screaming. He's drinking coffee.
I mean, look, I'm competitive as anybody. There's definitely a time and place for everything. I like to bring energy. I think that I have, I would say good energy in an already natural way. If anybody's testing me on the sideline, it's probably the referees and the fourth official. But I found that, really having involvement with them during the game doesn't do anybody good. So I try to stay focused on our guys as much as we can.
Did you see that movie, man?
I did. I love Will Ferrell. It's great to see that he's an owner and now investing back in the game too. So full circle.
The funny thing was about it. Do you drink coffee?
I love coffee.
Do you let it get like that?
A little bit sometimes. Sometimes it's again. I'm a pretty avid coffee drinker. So
you're not going to show up like with a cup the size of a big gulp full of coffee.
I might, especially in New Mexico. I love the coffee culture here. Some great spots. I'm more of an espresso guy, so if you see anything, it's probably a short shot, which I'm taking probably right before I get out of the field. Sometimes you need a little extra, and I'm willing to do that if necessary.
And then standing, like you said, taking the coffee before you get out on the field. I haven't asked any of the coaches this, like, when you're standing out there for the whole game, your legs ever get tired, man? Or?
No, I'm with it. It's very, sometimes I have to force myself to sit down just to, calm down, and also check in with the staff and make sure, we're not missing anything and get their opinions. But, luckily our partnership with Elevate, they're keeping me in good form right now. So I'm taking care of my body. Again, I think that's important though. It's like this job demands a lot of energy on a daily, weekly basis. What I found, and one of my mentors said it years ago, is that you can't go into the game not fresh. So, typical or consistent with the players, they're on a weekly periodization plan, which means, we're trying to optimize and keep them as fresh as possible to peak on game days. I feel the same way. So I would say that, the days after the match are probably the hardest, to be honest, from a review standpoint, preparation for the week. Typically Tuesday, Wednesdays are like our best training opportunities. And then as the week kind of happens and we get closer, I try to really find a balance and, make sure that I'm, avidly working hard and doing those things, which happens naturally, but also forcing myself to, get away, make sure my mind is fresh, make sure I'm sleeping well, making sure the nutrition's right too.
See, man, I was trying to set you up for a coffee sponsorship.
I'm looking for one, so.
Well, hey, he's Dennis Sanchez, head coach, New Mexico United, fourth coach in the franchise history. He's going to have his first home game, and so you all know what to do, New Mexico United fans. Fernando Perez behind the controls. I'm Van Tate. We'll see you guys next time.